I love a quote that you've been making, saying that basically drones are evolving from toys to tools to infrastructure. Well, how do you break down your growth right now in those three contexts?
So I think we're at a really exciting moment for the industry where historically drones have been manually flown. If you're using it for work, you send an operator out in the field to fly the drone, and people have done all kinds of amazing things in that kind of operating paradigm. But the big shift that we're seeing now is you can put the drone in a docking station. It can be flown remotely and autonomously. It basically becomes a fully autonomous robotic system. And the impact and the use cases that you unlock when you do that are just incredible. So one of the areas where we're seeing this accelerate the most is in public safety, where you can put drones in docking stations and they can autonomously fly out in response to 911 calls and just fundamentally change the outcome because they can get there in a few seconds. They give the responding officers better situational awareness. I think we're at the beginning of this just entirely new chapter of drones as infrastructure.
Talk to us about the chapter of US versus Chinese-made drones in this police and fire department demand. How much are you now able to fulfill it?
So there's interesting historical context here. So if you think about what a drone is at its core, it's basically consumer electronics combined with a radio control airplane, a radio control helicopter. That's the origin of the industry. And historically, both those things have been made in China. And so the Chinese companies really got out to a substantial early lead, especially in the kind of toy market and then the tools market. We believe very strongly it's critical that there are strong U.S. companies, strong Western companies that can provide this technology. I think it's still early days for the industry. It's going to become more and more important over time. We're installing these things across our cities, across critical infrastructure, and the risks from a data perspective, from a national security perspective, from a cybersecurity perspective are substantial. Our goal is to build the best products in the world for this new chapter of drones right here in the U.S. We made very big early bets on AI and autonomy when we started the company 10 years ago. And we're now at the moment where we're starting to see those pay off.
Yeah, Adam, talk about the payoff though, because when we think about what China has done so well, it is about efficiency. It is about sort of the scale at which they've been able to streamline production. How are you now managing to replicate that here in the US?
So this is not the kind of thing that's going to happen overnight. The strength of China and the Chinese companies that we compete with is definitely in their hardware scale, their cost leverage, the hardware ecosystem that they're taking advantage of in China. We've been manufacturing our drones in the US from the beginning. We didn't start doing this, honestly, because we thought it was going to be critical from a national security perspective. We started doing it because we felt like it was the best way to build the best product. And we've gotten to the point now where we've shipped close to 50,000 drones, which is still small relative to our Chinese competitors. But our market share in the enterprise segments that we focus on, public safety, critical infrastructure like energy utilities, is substantial. And the more scale we get up to, the more cost advantages that we get. I think from a capability standpoint now, just on the hardware, we've gotten to be very competitive with the Chinese companies, and we have more advanced capabilities in AI and autonomy. It's tough competition for sure. We have the exciting position of being the U.S. underdog against the big Chinese incumbents, but I feel very good about our position. And I think especially as these things become more AI-driven, more autonomous, more and more of the capabilities defined through software, that really plays to our strengths as a country and as a company.
Are they becoming ever more supported by the administration? What's on your wish list?
Well, look, we're a product and technology company. We're really focused on on making our products as useful as they can be. I think that looking back now, I think the first Trump administration deserves a lot of credit for recognizing the nature of competition with China, the kind of unfair trade practices that they had been partaking in, and that has now become kind of mainstream consensus view. I will say with the new administration, we're very optimistic about seeing a lot of people from the tech world in there that I think really understand the technology at a deep level. It's still early days, but we're optimistic.